Welcome to another episode of Mirror to Your Health. I'm Kathy Hankinson, and I'm here with our co-host, Michael Warshaw, our skincare expert. So Michael, we have discussed so many really interesting things so far, and one thing I want to focus on today is the topic of people who have health-related issues, internal health-related issues that express themselves through their external skin.
One of the things that we want to do is make sure that we treat our skin with good hydration, and hydration starts internally. Just like we want to be able to water our shrubs, we don't spray the leaves to water them, we feed them from the roots. And likewise, we need to drink water, not only to hydrate ourselves, but also to cleanse ourselves internally.
Is any old water okay? Because, I know there's a lot of conversation out there, in the world about water and the environment and contamination. And, what kind of water do you recommend? Should it be filtered? Should it be bottled? Is drinking out of the tap okay? How about well water?
Yeah, well, good well water, there's no substitute. If it's a good deep well and the aquifer has been checked out where you're getting the water from, and there's certainly no heavy metals there, that would be the one thing you want to check.
So have it tested, have the water tested.
The other thing is, distilled water, some people think, oh, it's really ultra pure and ultra clean, but that wouldn't support life. You put fish in distilled water, they'll die. So
why is that?
There's no minerals, there's no oxygen or anything in distilled water.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like dead water. And sometimes distilled water is very acidic.
Oh.
And one of the things that we want to do is we don't want an acid system all the time. We want an alkaline system. So one of the things that you look for in water, especially where you live, you have to trust the municipality where the water is coming from, because with all the antibiotics that we're flushing down the toilet or getting rid of in other ways, we are giving rise now to staph infections, which everyone keeps hearing about, or types of salmonella that are actually drug induced. Or I should say, let me rephrase it another way. They're there, but we're making superbugs.
Wow.
And we can't get rid of them through the normal chlorination and normal water treatment facilities, and they're coming through your tap. And this is
so
why
don't drink tap water.
That's, yeah. I would much rather have my tap water filtered. So it is important to hydrate, but topically, as we age, we don't have as many skin cells per square inch like a child has. Their metabolic activity is higher and their skin cells are thicker and there's more of them per square inch on a child, and that's why their skin looks so much softer and more youthful. And why we don't have that, we are also, there's ways to get the body to make that, and that's like with things that increase the metabolic activity of the skin, which we use in some of our products that we manufacture.
Give me a for example of is there an ingredient that you use that will do that?
Well, the seaweed is definitely one of them. It increases the metabolic activity and it thickens the epidermis. And when you get more skin cells crowded in that are thicker, the moisture cannot get through the cells on the outside, so we're holding on to the moisture better and we're improving the skin integrity. But while we're getting the metabolic activity up, if we have other nutrients, the skin can use those at that time at a more enhanced usability or enhanced rate, so that we're getting those skin cells to be more vibrant, healthier, getting rid of the wrinkles, getting rid of stresses, and reducing inflammation, and we're just looking younger.
Let's take the skin concern of, say, eczema for a minute. What causes eczema, and what can be done topically for immediate relief of that for someone?
Well, when people have eczema, a good many of the times it's usually a gluten-induced allergen that is trying to come through the skin. It's the expression of that gluten allergen, and people will have what the doctors will talk about as an atopic dermatitis. The eczema can be somewhat corrected. Usually what I found was using like seaweed to moisturize and hydrate, and finding things that are anti-inflammatories. A good anti-inflammatory as provitamin B5 and buffered niacin. The B vitamins reduce stress, and also B5 helps to accelerate not only the way cells behave in a more normal fashion, but it's very close to the coenzyme A building block of your body to help go into a repair mode.
Wow.
And so these are very important constituents to add to a type of lotion like that. But when we're talking about eczema, I have found that usually dairy is a culprit, and gluten can be a culprit, which when I say gluten, that's bread, spaghetti, and such.
All the good stuff.
And right, the good stuff. And I actually have a couple of pictures of before and after of which just in 2 days with a young child who had a full face full of rash on his face that couldn't sleep at night, was in really distress. And the mother brought the child to me and said, my baby can't sleep. And the doctor gave me this cortisone type
I
lotion.
believe we have those pictures up right now, the
You're
before
right.
and after.
So, and I said, well, take him off the cortisone. And what are you feeding this baby? It must be something to do, I think, with gluten.
Wow.
And she says, no, he's on breast milk. And I said, breast milk? She says, and what are you eating? And she thought a minute. She says, well, I eat a lot of bread and pasta. I said, well, you're passing the wheat allergen through your breast milk, and the baby's getting it that way. And sure enough, she cut that out after 5 days. The baby completely cleared up. The baby was actually incredibly good looking after 2 days. And then she came back and told me everything is great. The lotion worked. He's happy, and he's sleeping well. And he says, but Sunday night I went out and had a pasta dinner, and the next morning he erupted again after I breastfed him. And I said, so you are absolutely right. And this is how bad gluten can actually be for us. Of course, it's going to be expressed faster in a child, and sometimes we learn how to deal with those allergens. And when we get older, we have all this weight problem, and sometimes the weight problem is related to a gluten allergen. It didn't express itself in the way of atopic dermatitis, it expressed itself in the way of weight gain. So there's different types of allergens of gluten or wheat, which causes a lot of skin problems.
So what you're telling me, Michael, is the products that you've developed will do a great deal to help heal the skin or nourish
and
the
calm
skin.
and nourish.
Soothe, calm, nourish, and
reduce that
repair
inflammation.
and reduce the inflammation. Because the before and after picture of this young child is just extraordinary. What using that your Soothe and Calm lotion did for that poor little helpless infant, and what I'm sure the mother was going through as well. So that's really interesting. Another one that I would love to address is I know so many people, and I know diabetes is epidemic in this country now, and pre-diabetes. And I know so many people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and they have all kinds of skin issues that they deal with.
Well, some of the things that I like to do with getting the skin healthy is to introduce certain components within a skin cream that would help improve cell respiration. Getting oxygenation to take place within the skin in a natural way. The other aspects are to enhance not only the moisturization, but to hold on to that moisture so that the skin cells are hydrated properly so that your collagen can function correctly. And building back a healthier layer of collagen will give you that vibrancy and that structure to your skin. And there's some unique things out there, like there's a special peptide. And what is a peptide?
I have no idea.
Well, a
Tell us.
peptide is when you take two different amino acids and join them together, and this now becomes a peptide. And depending on how we put two different amino acids together, or building blocks, we can create a certain amount of or type of gene expression to stimulate a certain type of growth. And this is really more of a help by man, but more of a natural way of scientifically stimulating our bodies to behave in a certain way to get that desired effect, like healthier collagen, to enhance new cell development and such. So anyway, there's a peptide called hexapeptide 11. And it doesn't help really stimulate new collagen, but as the collagen is being made, it helps stack it and put it together right. So you hear a lot of people out there saying, we have a new peptide that gives you more collagen. Some people have heard matrixyl, and matrixyl stimulates new collagen. But you get more skin cells, but are they laid down right? Does a bricklayer come up and dump the load of bricks and stack the bricks up in a pile? Or does he really take each brick and put the mortar underneath and stacks them up nice and tight? Well, the tighter the fit, the more firm your skin's going to be, and
That makes sense.
you'll have a better structure, not just more collagen made. Because your first line of defense against that environment out there is your skin.
So give me an example of something that someone with diabetes would be faced with, that would be a skin issue that could be corrected with a topically applied product.
I would say that what a good skincare product would be for a diabetic person would be something that would increase microcirculation, keep the skin healthy, hydrated, nourished, so that the metabolic activity of the skin cell is raised to a whole nother level. Basically what we're doing is we're keeping the blood flow, nutrients, we're getting it hydrated, and we're conditioning the skin so that we're improving the vitality of the skin, all in general. And therefore, a lot of the condition or the problem goes away.
Michael, this has been so fascinating up to this point, and I know I've been watching the audience, and I know we've had some really interesting responses with some nods and some question marks you could see over people's heads. And I would love to just turn it over now and take some questions from our audience. And here we have one.
Hi there. My name is Nancy. So talking with you already, you mentioned a couple of things that I really like, that is peptides, because I take a product that's a polysaccharide peptide, and seaweed. I like to use products that you can eat. Tell me about your products and what's in them.
Okay, well, a lot of the times, especially when I'm trying to use emollients, I tend to go for more of the apricot kernel seed oils, high oleic sunflower seed oils, because I like the omega-3s and the omega-6 fatty acids because they're so accommodating to our skin, and they also feel very nice. I use a squalane, which is kind of chemically identical to squalene, which is part of the actual active component of our sebum. And when the squalene concentration of our sebum is low, that's when we have skin problems with like acne, because all acneic skin has a lower squalene concentration. So instead of killing the poor shark for it, we get it from the olive, or now they're even finding a way to get the component from sugarcane. So, but the squalene or the squalane that I'm using is very natural and very healthy for our skin. So those are some of the more natural emollients that I tend to use or go with. I've also used some blends of argan oil. I've used blends of a marula oil out of Africa, which has an amazing property and a very silky texture that promotes not only a healthy an occlusive layer for the skin, but it also has a very sensual, sexy feel.
You know, I know from having used your products for a while now, Michael, that the texture of them is so silky, and so it really does feel good just to apply them.
The main thing is I use no silicones in my product.
I think that's really important for
That's
people
important.
to know.
I try to stay away from anything with dimethicone, which causes a lot of health issues. And unfortunately, most of your products, especially the less expensive ones, use dimethicone to make them feel elegant, and it's a way for them to cover up a lot of their mistakes.
So what is this ingredient, dimethicone?
Dimethicone is essentially started out and has been used in the automotive industry, where they put that on your car tires to make them shine and look nice and black and shiny.
So you're saying the same stuff that they put on car tires, they put in skincare
It's first
to put on your
cousin.
face.
First cousin.
So this is a chemically induced or created
Right.
product that's not necessarily a good thing for your skin.
No, there's other
Maybe for your
things.
tires, but not for your skin.
Right, right. So I try to always use ingredients that are kind to your skin, that feels more natural, that lets your skin breathe. I don't use any petroleum byproducts. I don't use mineral oil. Mineral oil, a lot of people don't realize, well, I don't want to use mineral oil. Well, why do you not want to use it? But really, one of the worst things about mineral oil is that it has a tendency to rob the skin of the vitamin A. It breaks it down and destroys it. And vitamin A is a normalizing vitamin that keeps the skin cell healthy.
Wow.
And that's why eating carrots and other foods rich in beta carotenes are so good for us. And so we don't want to rob what our bodies have been trying to put back into the skin by putting something on like a mineral oil.
So what type of products would contain a mineral oil? Soaps, body lotions?
A lot of your
What
body
kinds of
lotions
things?
and face creams, especially a lot of your less expensive lotions, have mineral oil and petrolatum. I don't go for either one. There are some natural alternatives, but that would have made the price points a little higher, but I wouldn't want those on my body.
So cheaper is not necessarily better.
Cheaper is not necessarily better, and there's some very expensive products out there that are using petrolatum and mineral oil in them too, but they camouflage the feel with dimethicone, and you have products that are in the $300 range with dimethicone.
Really?
Be the third ingredient sometimes.
Wow. So you need to always pay attention to what's on a label.
Exactly.
And according to the question we got from Nancy, if you can't eat it, you don't want it on your skin? Is that?
I want it to be natural. So
And
would
this
these
makes
products
sense.
fall into that category? I want them
Absolutely.
to be safe for the body.
Exactly. And the other thing is we don't want any real cheap sugars in them to hydrate either, because sugars orally taken and topically into a product cause cross-linking, and you'll see some people that age and they'll have these hash marks, wrinkles. And this is where we have a breakdown of the skin, and that has to do with glycation. And what I try to find is some ingredients that are anti-glycation. So kombucha is from Russia. It's a black Russian tea that has got a natural ability to keep things from breaking down, and it's anti-glycation. Also, the amino acid carnosine is another one. So this causes that type of wrinkle. So these are all the little things that we want to build into products so we can minimize the wrinkle, keep it from happening, reduce inflammation, and keep the skin healthy.
Nancy, great question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And do
Thank
we
you.
have any other questions from any of our other audience members? Please come right up. And tell us your name.
My name is Sandra, and reading the labels are very difficult. I might understand and see maybe the first part of a word, I might know what that is, but all of the other words that are on the labels, you just have no idea what they are. So most of the time, I mean, I might be getting something really bad and never even know it.
In the infinite wisdom of some government policy, the FDA has thought that we should have everything listed like genus species. So instead of you knowing that you're getting green tea, they're using the genus species of the name, which is Camellia sinensis, I believe. And how many people are going to know what that is? When you go to the supermarket, you don't buy it that way, you buy it as green tea. And I think those are the ingredient names that should be on the product. As far as other ingredients go, there are some new ones that are man-made that are some tongue twisters. And they can take dimethicone and have 20 other vowels and letters behind it, like a copolyol or this. And the names get stretched out because of a new way that they've made the compound. But if you see dimethicone, leave it alone. I do. The other things that I try to stay away from are BHA and BHT, which they even put in a preservative for like potato chips in some cases. And that's butyltoluene. That's not very good either.
No, it's not.
And these are things that we try to get away from. If it looks a little bit more natural, I would lean toward that kind of a word. If it's a word that you can't pronounce, I would try to stay away from
Just
it.
leave it alone.
Right, leave it alone.
I'm thinking to myself, you need a guide. You need a booklet that says if it has this ingredient, you don't want it. If it these are natural ingredients, and these are the
genus species.
The genus
yeah.
species, name for if you see this, it's green tea. If you see this, it's chamomile, and have some kind of a guide, because I know that it's a problem when you go to the store and you just don't even know what's on those ingredient labels and if it's good for you or not good for you.
You have to believe and trust the manufacturer of the product, because they could be putting in 20 different herbs, but it may only be one drop in 1,000,000 gallons. So, and I tend to like to use quality concentrated extracts. So you'll notice that my products tend to be a little off color. They'll be a little tan or slightly beige, and that's because the herbs give it that color. And so that light doesn't affect it, I try to always put everything in an amber container, because that helps shield it from the light.
It sounds to me as though you have put a tremendous amount of science behind it, a lot of expertise behind it, but also a lot of thought and genuine care about the product that you've created and how you've packaged it, so that that person that uses it is going to have the best experience and get the greatest results.
And I've had people come to me over the years with problems, and they complained about their skin, and they're in pain, suffering, or aggravation about their skin. And I started making these products to help these people. And I kept being called on more and more to do it, until I finally just started making and doing my own product line to help these people out.
Thank you, Michael. Well, once again, some really great information on health and wellness for your skin and your body. And I look forward to having us back for another great episode on Mirror to Your Health.